Hello out there in our land, and welcome to CHAMPS.
My name is Sydney Evans, and Mr. Lemoyne and I will serve as your host for today's program.
CHAMPS stands for Chalmette High School's Artists, Musicians, and Performers Showcase.
It's a show that shines the spotlight on some of the talent here at Chalmette High.
So let's get started, and let's meet our special guest for today.
His name is Gregory Gonzales, and he's a musician here at Chalmette High School, and he's also part of the Talented Music Program.
Greg, thanks for having us, and I think it's Greg Gonzales-Landry, if I'm not mistaken. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Greg, thanks for getting here with us today. We appreciate you being with us.
I appreciate being here.
So, Greg, how long have you been a performer?
I was performing on stage as just a little actor throughout my elementary school year, so about 3 years with that. And I have been performing musically and instrumentally for about 6 years.
What instruments do you play?
I mostly am more inclined in percussion, as in drum set, and anything as in that involves me using sticks to just make, just track it. But then melodics, a little bit, but not too much.
Well, I remember when I first discovered you, Greg, you were dressed up as Kool and the Gang for a skit with the Goche group, and then you went on to St. Bernard Middle and you played there. So talk about a little bit about your progression, like how you've grown, what you've learned since you've been at Chalmette High.
I have progressed a lot. I've learned how to pretty much sight read a lot better than what I was able to at middle school. As in, I can just take a piece of paper, just know the rhythm, just play it down, and then I've inclined both with that, and I've inclined pretty much instrumentally, as in getting to know how to work things just myself and get to know my own style and interpret that into my own playing style.
Now, I know part of your life as a musician is not just here at school. Talk a little bit about outside of school activities, the kind of work that you're doing.
Outside of school, I play professionally with the BBG Jazz Trio, which is very renowned throughout the parish, and we usually perform locally at Dockville and Cockburn. We played a gig out in Kenner with the Rivertown Music Theater, which is a very popular theater out in the city.
You want to give a shout out to the other members of your BBG?
Members of the BBG Jazz group is me, trombonist / keyboard Jared Florine, and clarinet / tenor saxophone Brandon Rodriguez.
So whether it's the ACOC Barn, the Dockville Farm, or Sugar Festival, Blues in the Parish, we can see you guys all over the place.
Yep.
Huh? And what are some of the things that you've learned as a professional musician now? It's different between being a high school musician and getting paid to do it. So what are some of the things that you've learned?
I've learned that maturity is the best setting, because you have to be mature in order to actually get noticed, because if people look at you as just a child, then they won't want you professionally. So it's better just to act professional and act like you actually know what you're doing than to just go in and just play an instrument.
So punctuality, professionalism, the way you dress, all of that stuff is part of the gig.
Dress clothes all the time. Talk with respect. You got to respect, even if somebody's just being a total jerk, you just always need to respect them for what you're doing for them.
Talk a little bit about what you're thinking for your future. What are you looking to do when you get out of school? I'm thinking
to play music professionally. Not too much sure what I want to do as in a profession, which is as in just like, job-wise, because I look at music as just a love and a passion. I would like to do it as a job, but it's hard. It's hard to make it out there in the music biz, and I always want something just to have a backup on, just in case, never know what could happen.
So before your plans for the far future, what do you plan to accomplish for yourself, music-wise and not musically-wise, before graduation?
Musically-wise, I intend to try to make our jazz trio as renowned as we can throughout the parish, so that way we always have, instead of us working and splitting up to go work at just a fast food joint, we can just have each other and just play professional music and just make our money right like that.
Nice. And I know Mr. Kurth plays professionally, so I'm sure he's been somewhat of an influence.
Yes, Mr. Kurth. I don't think our jazz trio would not be where we are right now, not be able to do the things we can do without the help of Mr. Kurth. So we thank him very, very much.
And talk a little bit about some of the highlights of Greg Gonzales-Landry's career since he's been at Chalmette High. I know you played in a lot of different ensembles and stuff. So what's been some of the highlights of?
I have, as a freshman, I started out playing the starting song of the jazz band my freshman year, which was really, really cool. That was the first time I was actually getting settled down into learning jazz music, and then once I was able to learn it, I've really, really, really become it just became a part of me, and I really enjoyed playing it. Sophomore year, same thing again, but that sophomore year was a lot more fast paced because we went on a Disney trip, so we had to learn everything as quick as we can, and that worked out for me because I played a lot in that. As of right now, I'm drum captain in the band, so that's so far the only big milestone that's been a part of me this year.
Well, I've seen you perform a lot in the shows here at Summit High, and I know you're a really great drummer. What would you say is your favorite part about music?
My favorite part about music is the environment because you can just completely hate somebody, but as soon as you start playing music with somebody, you just love playing music with that person, and music it just brings people together and just makes everybody happy.
And it's its own language, huh?
Yep.
And in some ways, now that you're in your brand new band room and you got all of the access to the great TV studios and all the facilities, it's a pretty nice place to be. So are there any other influences or role models in your life that have helped you along the way, or somebody that you really look up to as you continue on your trek?
Before I started playing drums, I looked a lot up to my grandpa because I've always wanted to play drums like him. And the drum set that I actually use to play my professional gigs with is his drum set. So I hold that to me very, very closely. But my inspires that I've come to collect to help me out is I've always looked a lot up to Neil Peart of Rush, and then I always look up to Gene Krupa, which is Benny Goodman's drummer in his orchestra. So it's really, really cool.
So you learn a lot of different genres and a lot of different
Yep.
styles here at Summit High, huh? And if there was a 7th or 8th grader who was watching this show, hi, if you are, and you wanted to give him some advice or she some advice about, what does it mean? What would you, want to share? What advice would you give to an incoming student?
Advice, practice, always practice. But when you practice, make your own style. Don't try to copy off of someone else's because you want to be like them. And with music, you always want to develop your own style because it's kind of like your own persona, I guess you should say. It all depends on how you play, how you look. So it's always good to develop your own style while practicing.
And now I think we're going to take a look at some of that style in action as we're going to take a look at Greg Gonzales-Landry and the members of the BBG Jazz Band. Let's take a look.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of CHAMPS. We'd like to thank our guest, Greg Gonzales-Landry, for joining us today.
And we'd like to thank you for joining us as well. And if you know someone out there that would be a guest for CHAMPS, let us know. We'd love to have them on the air.
On behalf of Mr. Lemoyne and I, and all of us here at Penn TV, I'm Sydney Evans, reminding you, do what you love
And love what you do. And we'll see you next time on
CHAMPS.
CHAMPS.